Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final part of week 2 PFW 2401 Commercial Banking of Finance. And this is the final part of week 2, the interest rate risk. Now, this time we are going to talk about the duration model. Before I continue, I just want to tell you from my experience with my students before, they find this model a little bit confusing, but it is a comprehensive model. It is it takes and get rid of all the shortcomings we see in the repricing model, and it is actually easy to understand if you follow simple steps. It has just a concept of discounting the present value of the values of the assets and the liabilities in the future and transfer that to time. This is the only thing that can make some, not really confusion, just need you to expend your thinking on it. So I will just share now and go to the duration. This is how they define the duration. So the duration is actually the weighted average time of maturity of series of cash flows using the relative present values of the cash flows as weights. Now, this may not be very clear definition. It's a definition, the formal definition, but we want to see it how it is translated in numbers. So a duration in this case, take to the consideration the assets and liabilities maturity as well as the timing of the cash flows, which in this specific case, get rid of the shortcomings which we have in the repricing model. Now, it is a comprehensive model because the repricing model deals only with the interest rate, with the net income statement. This one deals with the total of the bank financial position, which is the balance sheet, which means they care about the assets and the liabilities. Now, this is the formula. And the duration is actually, don't get, this formula looks very complicated, but it's very easy to understand. So the nominator of this formula is actually the total time weighted. So I will get the time, the present value of all payments, whether we are talking about a loan or a liability. We will take all the present value of that and multiply it by the time. So if it is for 1 year, we multiply it to 1 year, or 2 years, or 3 years, as I will explain it now. The denominator is easy, just the present value, the total present value of those cash flows of the assets and the liabilities. Look at this example. Assuming I have a loan, this loan is 30,000, and it is for 3 years. According to the repricing model, I will just consider that loan is at 30,000, and I will put it in the horizon of 3 years. But in the duration model, they say no, when these amounts will be received. Actually, this loan is paid 10,000 in the first year, 10,000 in the second year, and 10,000 is in the third year. So in that case, because we have reinvestment of those amounts, as you remember, and we need to take into considerations also the present value using the current interest rate and discount it. So we will bring everything to zero. So if you look at the first payment, if I want to discount it for the first year, this is the present value. You can just divide this 10,000 over 1 point. The interest rate is 8% here. If you want to get it, you just 10,000 over 1 plus 8% to the power of 1. You just discount it for 8% for the first year. You discount this for 8% for the 2 years, and this you use the same 8% discounting and for 3 years. Now, until now, until this area, everything looks fine. Now, we want to do one more step, which is we want to calculate, we want to weight the time, which means we have to calculate, we have to multiply this by 1, by T. See? The cash flow, which is the present value times T. So this, we time it by 1, and we get this amount. This, we multiply it by 2 years, we get this amount. And this, we multiply it by 3 years, and we get this amount. Then we add the present values, which is this one, and we'll add the present value times the time, which is this one, and actually divided this amount by this amount to get the duration. So, and this is the formula. Actually, if you look at the formula, we're dividing this, which is the present value times the time, over the present value, the total present value of all payments for this loan, times the present value of those the payments of this loan. So now in this case, we find it to be, if I divide them, this is the duration using the formula, I get 1.95 years, which means the duration of this loan, which used to be 3 years, according to the pricing model, I'm using only 1.95 years. So I will put this in the, I will put it in the horizons of from 1 year to 2 years, and instead of putting it in 3 years. Now, that's the whole thing about it. Now, we can get now, we want to see, this is how we get the duration of the assets. This is how we get to the duration of the liabilities. This is the formulas. But we want actually to get the change in the equity, which is our main purpose, which means the change in the net worth, the change on the shareholders' wealth. So we have to get the duration of the asset minus the duration of the liabilities times K. K is the leverage times the assets over the change, times the change in the interest rate over 1 plus R. And this is what we have done. So if you look at this example, we have a duration of asset of 5 years. We use this table. We don't have the numbers now, but I already gave it to you. Instead of 195 years, all the assets of this bank is 5 years, duration of assets. The duration of liabilities of 3 years. Now, this is the balance sheet of the bank. They have 100 assets, 90 the liabilities, 10 the equities. If I want to get the change in the equity, I will get the minus, this is the formula, minus duration of assets, minus the leverage, times the duration of the liabilities, times the assets over the change in the interest rate over 1 plus R. What is the change in the interest rate? It's 1%. What is the interest rate in the market? It's 10%. And it moved to 11%, which means there is an increase of 1. So in this case, we get the change in equity, which is 2.9. So this equity, instead of being 10 before, now it's actually 10 minus 2.09. The equity have dropped. What does it mean? Means when I have duration of assets more than the duration of the liabilities, if the interest rate increases, there will be drop in my assets values and also drop in my liabilities values. But because of the duration of the assets is higher than the duration of the liabilities, meaning now the impact or the losses I make from the decrease on the value of the assets more than what I gained from the decrease of my liabilities. And this is why the impact of my capital is minus 209, which is if I have duration more than duration of asset more than the duration of liabilities, and the interest rate is increasing. This is good. This is not a good news. And you have to, if you are using the duration model, you have to see how you can amend this duration of the assets and liabilities by selling loans, or increasing the loans, or amend your asset and liability. I'm done for this part. I hope you like it. It's very brief and good, and we will discuss when we meet about all those issues. Thank you very much. I'm done with the recording of the 6th part, and week 2. Bye-bye, and see you.